And then this takes us to the next point, which is Kolmogorov. I said that correctly? Kolmogorov.
Kolmogorov.
And his idea of probability as a measure going into the idea of mathematical axioms. Now, I would like just to ask you, Father, I know we're not so big into like putting things out bullet point by bullet point, but let's go ahead and talk about mathematical axiom.
All right, I mean, Kolmogorov theory is a very abstract mathematical approach. And Kolmogorov theory allows us to look at probability as a measure. I mean, I don't think we have enough room here to go into the details, but let me only point to one thing, that Kolmogorov's definition is so general that with that definition you can kind of describe many types of probability. So it kind of grasps the idea of chance in a very profound and deep way, because it's such a general idea.
So with his theory, he's using axioms, and within the axiom we can see that, for example, how we discussed it in class is you have a map. You have a map, and within the map there's two sets of data.
I would advise against going into all of this for the moment.
Okay, but
let's not get stuck with it.
We won't get stuck with it, but what I want to ask, Father, is in philosophy we understand the idea of axioms, and this is what really interested me here.
Because it's an axiomatic theory. I mean, it relies on axioms.
And so in this case, what can we say? How can we say, in a simple term, that axiom is? We have philosophical axiom, which is...
Well, I think these are precisely defined mathematical axioms.
Okay, exactly.
And they just span the whole sort of area of the theory. But I would really advise against. I think we should refer our listeners to the book, because first of all we need a piece of board and chalk to explain what it means, but plus it engages difficult mathematical concepts. So let's stay at this level of saying that Kolmogorov theory is a very general approach to probability, which gives it a very correct and strict mathematical treatment, and you can under the umbrella of the Kolmogorov theory and the theory of measure, you can kind of place a lot of different definitions of probability. So it all kind of fits together and shows that the different definitions of probability we can give are but the particular examples that fall under the umbrella of Kolmogorov definition. But I wouldn't risk going any further.
Could we say that they're all different sides of the same dice?
Well, in some way, yes. I mean, the dice is the big thing, right?
Exactly.
And these are, I would say, representations or...
And it's all going to show that as time has marched on, as we've continued to build on these previous building blocks with each century, scientists and philosophers increasingly discovered that there really is a comprehensible understanding
of chance.
Because with chance and with Kolmogorov, I have a little note here that I wrote because it was something that just intrigued me. Again, I'm not a scientist, but I thought it was very interesting, which is you can see that the measure of an empty set will always be 0. And for me, this is understanding that there's always going to be some level of predictability.
Well, I mean, this is far away from predictability. This is just a mathematical axiom that you're saying that it's as simple as this. I mean, if you have a set which is empty, I mean, there's no way you can assign anything else as a measure, which is a number you assign to a set, whichever way you like.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. The reason I said predictability is because when I learned multiplication as a child, I adored anything times 0 is 0.
Well, I would advise against using intuitions here. I mean, with these things, we need to rely on what mathematics says, and that's our kind of bottom line. Because if we start playing around for intuitions, we quickly kind of drift off
away from chance.
Yeah.
Because chance is not intuitive based. It's a science.
No, I mean science hates intuition. I mean, you can begin science by some intuitions, but later on, you have to drop your intuitions because they'll lead you astray.
Then I would like to pause just a moment for
Let's
my
go
little
to this
chance.
objective.
No, I
Let's
would.
go to this objective subjective.
We can
That's
go
more
there,
interesting.
but I do have a question with this with intuition. So would you say intuition and philosophy are compatible?
Well, intuition is a certain act of cognition, which has the property of being obvious, right? It's some kind of an obviousness we accept, something which we don't dispute.
This is a little bit of bonus part for our episode.
But intuitions, we have to rely on intuitions because they make us solve problems in the real time. But they're kind of, I would say, very heuristic tools, and we quickly discover that if we want to get to the depth of reality, we have to move away from our intuitions because they're misleading.
It's a starting point, but it's definitely not going to get you to the end.
No.
Okay.